There was a time when Christy McNichol wasn't just famous. She was everywhere. That bright smile, that raw emotion, that spark that made people stop and feel. She wasn't the kind of actress who just memorized lines. She lived them. In the 1970s and 80s, Christy wasn't just Hollywood's favorite teen, she was its heartbeat. But then, right when she was on top of the world, she vanished. No scandal, no tearful goodbye, just silence. For years, people whispered, guessed, wondered, what really happened to Christy McNichol? Let's rewind to where it all began. Christy McNichol was born on September 11th, 1962, in Los Angeles, the city where dreams are made and sometimes broken. But her family's life wasn't anything like the red carpets and limousines around them. Christy grew up in a small home with her mom, Carolyn, and her older brother, Jimmy. Her father walked out early, leaving Carolyn to hold everything together on her own. She hustled nonstop. Secretary by day, makeup saleswoman by night, even taking background roles in low-budget films just to make rent and keep food on the table. Survival was the McNichols' daily mission. Not fame, not luxury, just survival. But fate has a funny way of showing up when you least expect it. One day, Carolyn couldn't afford a babysitter, so she brought little Christy and Jimmy to the movie set where she was working. A crew member spotted their bright energy and told her, "These kids would be perfect for commercials." That offhand comment opened a door none of them could have imagined. Soon, both Christy and Jimmy were auditioning for TV ads, toothpaste, cereal, soda, you name it. And surprisingly, they started booking them. Jimmy had this laid-back charm that people loved. But Christy, she had something different, a spark that couldn't be taught. Her mix of innocence and depth caught everyone's eye. Casting directors saw something special, the way she could show joy and sadness in the same breath. Even at just 10 years old, she didn't act, she felt. By the mid-1970s, Christy was popping up everywhere, in shows like Apple's Way and Starsky and Hutch. But in 1976, everything changed with one life-altering role. She landed the part of Letitia Buddy Lawrence on ABC's hit drama Family. She was only 13 when filming started, but her performance stunned everyone. The show tackled real issues, divorce, growing up, identity, and Buddy became its emotional soul. She wasn't the picture-perfect sitcom kid everyone was used to. Buddy was real, curious, sensitive, and sometimes lost. Christy didn't just play her, she was her. Critics couldn't stop praising her emotional honesty. She earned 3 straight Emmy nominations for Best Supporting Actress and took home 2 wins, in 1977 and 1979. Imagine that, a teenager holding Emmy Gold before she could even drive. Fans adored her. She graced magazine covers, lit up talk shows, and became known as America's Little Sister. But behind the lights, things were far from picture perfect. Her mom managed her career, but the family depended on Christy's paychecks to stay afloat. Christy once said, "I felt like the grown-up in the house. My mom was the child that weight, that role reversal, took a serious toll." While other teens were stressing over school dances and crushes, Christy was memorizing scripts, signing contracts, and smiling through exhaustion. Her days were packed, filming, interviews, publicity, no space for a normal teenage life. By the time Family ended in 1980, Christy McNichol had done what most actors dream of. She conquered Hollywood before turning 20. She was adored, respected, unstoppable. But deep down, she was drained, emotionally and mentally. The little girl from Los Angeles had given the world everything it wanted. What she didn't know yet was that Hollywood had a way of taking everything it could in return. Fame always comes with a price, and by 18, Christy McNichol was already paying it. Christy McNichol had grown up under studio lights, performing before she even had a chance to figure out who she really was. Since childhood, cameras had followed her every move, and Hollywood didn't see her as a kid anymore. To them, she was a pro, someone who could turn emotions on and off like a switch. So when Family wrapped, there was no break, no time to breathe, the offers poured in, and Christy said yes to everything. That same year, she starred alongside Tatum O'Neal in Little Darlings, a bold film about 2 girls from totally different worlds making a shocking bet at summer camp. This wasn't your average teen flick. It was raw, emotional, and real. Christy's performance as Angel Bright, the street-smart girl with hidden pain, stunned everyone. Critics called her magnetic. Roger Ebert even wrote that her performance made audiences want to know what she'd do next. Overnight, she wasn't just a teen star, she was a sensation. Magazine covers, interviews, fan mail. Christy was everywhere. She became America's favorite rebel, confident, independent, and heartbreakingly human. But like always, fame came with a price. That same year, she starred in The Night the Lights Went Out in Georgia with Dennis Quaid and Mark Hamill, scoring one of the biggest paychecks any teenage actress had ever earned. Then came 1981, another hit year. Christy took on a heavy role in Neil Simon's Only When I Laugh, playing the daughter of a recovering alcoholic. It was raw, emotional, and powerful. The performance earned her a Golden Globe nomination and serious respect in the industry. On the surface, her career looked unstoppable. But behind the cameras, she was falling apart. Christy later admitted she didn't know how to say no, not to her mother, not to producers, not to anyone. Hollywood demanded constant perfection, and Christy, desperate to keep everyone happy, went along with it all. Before I could even say yes or no, she recalled, I'd be on a plane to a new set. Every yes drained her a little more, stealing pieces of her peace and sanity. By 1982, the cracks started to show. Her next project, The Pirate Movie, was supposed to be fun, a goofy musical parody, but critics tore it apart. She was even nominated for a Golden Raspberry for Worst Actress, a brutal blow for someone who had just been praised as one of Hollywood's brightest young stars. But the real issue wasn't the movie, it was the pressure. The sleepless nights, the constant anxiety, the weight of pretending she was fine. It was eating her alive. Then came 1984. Christy accepted a role in Just the Way You Are, a romantic drama set in the French Alps. She played a musician with a disability learning to love herself, a role that eerily mirrored her own internal battle. But by then, her mental health was in shambles. Panic attacks, nightmares, drastic weight loss. Her friends and family saw it. Christy was fading, not just physically, but emotionally too. She begged for help, but her team brushed it off. Don't worry, they told her. We'll get through it. But she couldn't just push through anymore. Something inside her was breaking. When Christy returned from France, she wasn't the same. Doctors diagnosed her with exhaustion, anxiety, and deep emotional trauma. The kind that builds up when you've been pretending for too long. For someone who had always been the strong one, that diagnosis felt like failure. The studio behind Just the Way You Are tried to twist the story, calling it a chemical imbalance. But the tabloids went wild. They painted her as unstable, another fallen child star. But in truth, Christy wasn't falling apart. She was fighting to save herself. It would have been easier to kick an addiction, she later said, than to go through the years of hell that I did. She eventually returned to finish filming, but the sparkle that once lit up every frame, it was dimmer now. The world saw a smile, but behind it, Christy McNichol was breaking, and no one seemed to notice. When Just the Way You Are hit theaters in 1984, audiences saw a fragile beauty on screen, a woman whose pain felt heartbreakingly real. What they didn't know was that Christy McNichol wasn't just acting, she was living that pain. After the film, she tried to put the pieces back together. She showed up in Dream Lover, You Can't Hurry Love, and The Forgotten One, hoping to find her rhythm again. But by then, Hollywood had moved on, and so had she. Fame, once her dream, now felt more like a cage. The spotlight that once gave her life now drained it. Behind closed doors, Christy was fighting battles no one could see. Sleepless nights, mood swings, and a sadness that wouldn't let go. Doctors would later call it bipolar disorder, but back then, all she knew was that something inside her was breaking. Through it all, her brother Jimmy McNichol never left her side. They had started this wild ride together, and when her world fell apart, he became her anchor. She wasn't just my sister, Jimmy said years later. She was my kid, my best friend. He moved in with her, cooking, cleaning, helping her through the rough days when even getting out of bed felt impossible. For Christy, it was the first time in her life someone else was taking care of her. By the mid-'80s, Christy had become a ghost in Hollywood. The once smiling teenager from Family had vanished, replaced by a woman trying to figure out who she really was when the cameras stopped rolling. But then, Hollywood came calling again. In 1988, NBC offered her something rare: stability. The network cast her in Empty Nest, a spin-off of The Golden Girls. She played Barbara Weston, a tough but kind-hearted police officer living with her widowed father. It wasn't the kind of deep emotional drama that had defined her early years, but it gave her something even better: peace. The set became her safe space. Surrounded by friends, laughter, and a crew that truly cared, Christy began to heal. Fans were ecstatic. They had missed her. Empty Nest became a Saturday night favorite, running right alongside the Golden Girls. For a few years, Christy seemed to have found balance again. But behind the smiles, the storm was still brewing. The same emotional highs and lows that had haunted her before began to creep back in. Some days she couldn't sleep. Other days, tears came out of nowhere. By 1992, during the show's 5th season, Christy made a decision that shocked everyone. She walked away. No farewell episode, no big announcement, just gone. Her publicist told the world she was leaving for health reasons. The truth didn't surface until years later. In 2001, Christy finally opened up. She revealed she had been living with manic depression, what we now call bipolar disorder. "I didn't want to talk about it at the time," she said softly. "It was very private. But now, I want people to know the truth." That moment changed everything. Back when mental health was still a taboo topic, Christy's honesty broke barriers. She showed the world that even Hollywood's brightest stars could struggle, and that it was okay to talk about it. Her confession wasn't weakness, it was bravery. She wanted others who felt trapped between fame and fragility to know they weren't alone. Christy made one final return for the Empty Nest finale in 1995, a bittersweet goodbye to the role that gave her stability. After that, she stepped away for good. She lent her voice to a few animated projects like Extreme Ghostbusters in 1997 and Invasion America in 1998. And then, once again, she disappeared from the spotlight. When reporters later asked if she'd ever return to acting, Christy gave a small, knowing smile and said, "Never say never." But her tone said it all. Hollywood had lost its grip on her, and this time, she was walking away on her own terms. Then came the healing years, the chapter she truly earned. Away from the cameras, Christy finally had something she'd never had before: freedom. She was 39 years old, and for the first time since she was a little girl, there were no scripts, no cameras, no deadlines. Just peace. The noise of fame was replaced with silence, and that silence became her medicine. She began teaching acting at a private school in Los Angeles, sharing her years of experience and hard-earned wisdom with students who admired not just her talent, but her honesty. For them, she wasn't just a former star, she was proof that you could walk away from the chaos and still shine. Teaching gave Christy McNichol something she'd been searching for all her life, a way to stay connected to the craft she loved, without the crushing weight that once nearly broke her. In her classes, she often reminded her students that acting wasn't about fame or red carpets. "It's about empathy," she would say. "It's about truth." Outside the classroom, Christy lived quietly. No spotlight, no frenzy, just peace. She spent time with close friends, volunteered for local charities, and found joy in the small, simple routines that fame had once stolen from her. She took up yoga, played tennis, and surrounded herself with love, especially from her miniature dachshunds. "They keep me grounded," she once said with a smile. "Dogs don't care if you're famous." But even in her calmest years, life still tested her heart. In 1997, just days before her 35th birthday, Christy lost a dear friend and former partner, actress Elizabeth Brooks, to cancer. The loss cut deep. It left her shaken, but it also made her more compassionate. She poured her pain into purpose, donating to cancer research, supporting mental health causes, and giving back quietly away from the cameras. When people asked what she missed most about acting, Christy's answer was always simple: the people. Not the fame, not the pressure, just the people. For her, Hollywood had been both a blessing and a bruise. But now, finally, she was healing from it. Then, in 2012, Christy McNichol surprised the world again. Not with a comeback, but with her truth. Through her publicist, she announced that she was gay and had been living happily with her partner, Marty Allen, since the early 90s. There was no press conference, no drama, just honesty. "I want to help others who feel different," she said, "and to support kids who are being bullied." For the first time, fans saw the real Christy. Not the Hollywood star, not the teen idol, but the woman who had survived. A woman who had loved deeply, fallen hard, and risen stronger. Marty had been with her through it all, through the breakdowns, through leaving Empty Nest, through rebuilding her life piece by piece. Together, they created a quiet home filled with laughter, loyalty, and peace. Today, Christy McNichol lives a life that couldn't be more different from her whirlwind youth. At 62, she's still in Los Angeles, teaching, mentoring, and sometimes appearing at fan events where her warmth still lights up the room. Her estimated net worth, around $7 to $8 million, comes mostly from royalties from her classic work. But money? That's never been what defines her. What defines her is survival, strength, grace. "I was on the big stage between ages 8 and 30, she once said. "I left show business to play my biggest part, myself." That quote says it all. She didn't fade away because she failed. She walked away because she chose to live. Christie's story isn't a sad one. It's a powerful one. It's about courage. The courage to say enough, to step out of the spotlight, and finally find peace. In a world where fame often consumes the very people it creates, her choice to walk away might just be her greatest performance of all. Christy McNichol's journey reminds us that behind every smiling face on screen, there's a real person fighting their own battles. She didn't lose herself to fame, she found herself by leaving it behind. So now the question is, which of Christie's unforgettable performances do you remember most? Family Little Darlings or Empty Nest? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, hit that like button if you felt something real, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories.